Hi guys, I'm Shmee. Hello to you and welcome back to the channel where today you join me for my first drive in the new McLaren 600LT. It's the long-tail, track-focused version of McLaren Sports Series, and today to drive it, we're at the Hungaroring near to Budapest in Hungary to really put it through its paces and see what it's like. So let's get started with a walk around to take in all of the details before it's time to drive the 600LT. This is now the fourth McLaren model that wears the long-tail naming designation. So if we rewind back to the 90s, McLaren were achieving motorsport success with the F1 GTR, but new racing guidelines and rules prompted the introduction of a physically longer car, an extended version of the McLaren F1 called the F1 Longtail. Now more recently, we had the arrival of the 675LT in the Super Series as both a coupe and a spider, and although not significantly longer than the 650S on which it was based, the Longtail name was much more about the ethos, which is what it's about in this Model 2, the fourth to arrive in the Longtail family. As part of the Sports Series, it was originally the 540C and 570S. Those were followed up by the arrival of the 570 GT, more suited to grand touring, and then more recently the open-top version, the 570S Spider. But we now have the lightest, most hardcore and focused version of the Sports Series family in the form of the 600LT. Now it's not being limited by a total build number, it's being limited in terms of how long they roll down the production line. And we can hear the noise of one blipping away in the background down the pit lane. But unlike the 675LT, of which there were 500 coupes and 500 spiders, this car is being built for 12 months, starting from October 2018, after which the Spider will then roll down the production line. Now, as we explore it and take a first walk around, you can of course notice that it is about aero work, carbon fiber for lightweight, an increase in power, 600 standing for 600 horsepower, coming from the 3.8 litre twin-turbo mid-rear mounted engine back there. There are a number of dramatic features you'll notice. It is of course slightly longer than the 570S, thanks to the aero that comes through the extended splitter around the front and the fixed wing that's mounted on the rear deck. So it's 74mm longer in total. And if we actually come around here, these, by the way, give it 100 kilos of downforce. You will notice those top exit exhausts. Basically, that means it has the shortest distance for the exhaust gases to go from the engine to coming out of the back of the car. And I'm led to believe at night, that means you basically have a flamethrower going on back here. So you've got this protective shielding on the rear wing to ensure that it doesn't literally get burnt. So if we have a look at the back, you can see the aggressive aero that the car has going on down here. That continues around the side with these strakes on the side skirts. You've got 15mm wider intakes for the high temperature radiators at the side. You've got louvres found here on the front arches. That can be a carbon fiber panel. The front also just extends slightly further and more aggressively out there. So the weight of this car, by the way, is down 100 kilos from the 570S if you equip it with all the lightweight options, which brings it in at a total of just 1,247 kilos. Back here then is that engine, the 3.8 litre twin turbocharged V8. It has 600 horsepower and 620 newton meters. It will match the 675LT to 100 kilometers per hour in just 2.9 seconds. It will get to 200 kilometers per hour in only 8.2, and it will go on to 300 kilometers per hour in 24.7 seconds, which for their baby entry-level supercar series, if we can call it that, the Sports Series, is ridiculously impressive. That's mated to the 7-speed seamless shift gearbox mounted back in here, and in fact, due to quite how open this is for cooling, this whole area has been transformed to make it one very open mesh to just get the air out as fast as possible. And you can even see straight through here where the gearbox is located just down inside, all for airflow out of the back, for keeping obviously the best downforce possible, the car planted down on the ground. It even has Nutrifera tyres from Pirelli developed for the purpose. But we haven't actually taken a glimpse at the inside, where to be honest not too much has changed. The doors still open outwards and upwards based on monocell 2, the carbon fibre tub that weighs just 75 kilos in total. But the difference is here now, we've got the Senna carbon fibre bucket seats. Those are optional. It comes with the P1 style 675LT style bucket seats by standard. Carpets have been removed. There's no glove box anymore. The door pockets have been turned into these nets to just save bits of weight here and there, a kilo from that, better brakes for 4 kilos, the Super Series suspension for 10.2 kilos. You name it, all of these parts we'll look at in more detail later on. But inside here we've got the digital displays as before, we've got the active dynamics panel to control your driving modes. But basically, I think it's going to be a bit of a weapon. So any second now, it will be my turn to take one of these out onto the track to fully experience the new 600LT. This is it then, sitting inside the 600LT. We've still got soft close, not too much of a weight penalty having those, but we do have these very snug Senna bucket seats. Now they are incredibly light and also very, very supportive. So in this car we've got the normal 3-point harness, you can have an MSO 4-point. I need to get myself set up and comfortable. We've still got electronic steering to adjust the steering wheel. We're going to be able to play with active dynamics mode, but let's head on out. One thing then about the 600LT is, like the 675, it no longer has creep. So when you're at a standstill, you have to actively press the throttle to get moving rather than the gearbox automatically doing it for you. But we can either pull the paddle or we can press drive in the center console. We're currently with active dynamics disabled, so we're in the complete normal mode. We'll give a thumbs up and it'll be time to head on out when the track is clear. So just to get rolling gently. Of course, in here, I've just actually done a few laps to sightsee the circuit, the Hungaroring, in a 570S. It's immediately more vibration-y, you know, you feel that rawness of the car, you feel the sense that it's more of an occasion to drive it, you get that straight away. Obviously I've got a helmet on which is hiding a lot of the sounds, but I do hear more in here than I was doing before. So I press the active dynamics and we then get sport and sport mode. We've got manual enabled for the shift paddles, but sport for the suspension wise is basically set up as you might like on a bumpy road or a bumpy circuit like the Nürburgring Nordschleife, whereas track is going to be the appropriate mode for a circuit like the one we're on today. But we'll take it easy just to get in the swing of things to get us started. This is of course a Formula 1 circuit. The Grand Prix was held here not all that long ago. It's been here since 1986. In sport mode you have ignition cut, and I can immediately get that sense of the violence of the shift. So basically ignition cut turns off the sparks just while you're shifting gear, almost for a moment, but it basically means you get unburnt fuel exiting the exhaust, which goes on to give you an epic crack sound going on behind you. In track mode you have inertia push as opposed to ignition cut, which uses the energy to basically propel you forward and continue going between gears. But in sport, this is quite a violent kick, and we'll build into it gently, just because this is a very technical track. It's a narrow track, the walls are quite close, the power is huge. You can immediately feel it's more of a track tool than the 570 on which it's based. Steering feel is great, very, very connected, very direct. We've got some slow speed corners here, we've got some high speed corners. Take the curves on this side. Let's put it down. I love the feeling in sport mode. Curves, keep to the left, ready for the next corner. Use the trail braking. I understand the braking in here is pretty impressive, so I've experienced that at the end of the start straight at a moment. Unwind and away we go. Goodness, it's quick. Let's go hard on the brakes. Very, very controlled and stable under braking. I mean, after all, it's a car designed to be driven around the track just like this. Lots of ability to put the power down early on the exit. Trying to be smooth, controlled, get an experience of the car. Almost turn it a little bit too tightly there. Use the runoff. Trail brake around onto the start straight. Now this is where you've got to hold it, and start to feed in the power, unwind the steering, and away we go, up towards the red line. Manual mode, it won't automatically upshift. Feel that power of 230, 240, let's go hard on the brakes from 245. It's very stable and composed under braking, and those cracks you get are just monumental. And this is just sport mode. So let's now turn it up, drive the car from the next section in track. So down here, flip the suspension, flip the powertrain. We are now in track mode, where we do get this inertia push on the gear shifts. Hold it in around here as we go down the hill, unwind back to the left. Don't release the power going through this corner. This is taking some getting used to. Get a new display on the dashboard. Goodness, the shifts are just you that confidence. It's the ultimate in track toys, isn't it? You can drive it on the road to the racetrack, then when you get to the track, you can open it up and go around this quickly. It's very, very easy to push it on. It doesn't give you that sense of intimidation and being scared before you get behind the wheel. Then you open it up and just watch the numbers rising, 170, 180, 190, 200, 210, 220. 230. Into the red line, too busy looking at the speedo, and then you go firm on the ceramic brakes. Of course, the upgraded brakes from the 675 got so much power. Tight around corner one, unwind the steering, and then you put in the power again really early. Trail braking in gives you a lot of feedback. This certainly feels like a very, very grown-up toy. It's McLaren's entry-level series, the Sports Series, but it has this level of ability. The capabilities of it, the speed of it, the performance of it, the grip, and the reward it gives you as well. I feel like it's really satisfying to push it on hard, which is something that's obviously very, very nice to get out of it, and then you put your foot down on the straight. 190, 200, 210, 220, 230, up to 240. We'll go hard on the anchors. I saw 250 there. You can even hold it more. The braking is that good. Down through the gears. The steering wheel is small and nimble. Lets you get back on the power super early. Stopping power is incredible. I'm not even using all of it, and it just pulls you down. It's amazing that it doesn't have active aero in here. But the way the balance shifts from one side to the other, you have a remarkable sense of where it's going to go, where the balance is going, what the car is doing. The way the weight shifts, the balance goes from one side to the other. Short shift up for some stability around here. Meandering through the corners. It's beautiful to drive. Woo, there we go then. Time to go a little bit easier as we head back towards the pits. The noises, the sounds of it are great. Back into the pit lane then. I have got good things to say about this car. It gets a solid thumbs up. What an experience, what an unintimidating experience to just jump into it and push it quite hard around a really technical and challenging circuit. My first time driving here, yet it wasn't that imposing. And it was more welcoming than the 570S in the sense of just feeling more at home, more feedback, more awareness of where the limit of it would be. And yeah, we're coming back in. I've got a ginormous smile on my face, which is exactly what a car like this is supposed to do. And I'll take some time to gather some thoughts and talk more about the weight savings and the interior. But overall, really pretty epic. Here we are then, back in the pit lane. The cars are being taken out to be refueled. What an experience that was. Honestly and truly, and please do excuse my helmet hair, it is very much an LT. That's what's quite intriguing to me, of course, from my experience driving my 675LT Spider on track, my coupe before that. So I've got a lot of experience prior to now driving McLarens on racetracks, and you get those characteristics. I felt very at home, balanced with the car. Of course, I haven't been able to hear too much of the sound because of the helmets, but the cracks sound epic. The power is plentiful. Maybe you could have a little bit more power, I'm not sure. I mean, it's rated at 600 horsepower, maybe there's already a touch more coming out of it. Noticeably more power than the 570, noticeably better handling, noticeably better braking. In fact, that's the incredible thing. Braking was really, really stable, getting hard on the anchors. There's another one coming in now. That does look good in that spec. Getting hard on the brakes. It stays in such a straight line. It gives you phenomenal feedback in that respect. That looks really nice. It's really nice. I have to say, it's a very impressive car to drive on a track like this. This is the right track for it, with the weight balance, with the distribution going from left to right. And yeah, just being able to experience everything the LT is about. Only gripe I think I have with this car, if you spec one up, it's about £240,000. It starts at 185,500. So, and if you go to MSO, it's going to be even more. That's the problem. Anyway, let's head into the pit garage. There's more to see in there. Let's talk about the 100 kilos of weight saving in the 600LT, and we'll start with the suspension setup, the double wishbone that comes from the Super Series that saves 10.2 kilos versus the 570S. It sits 8 millimeters lower all around. The front track is also 10 millimeters wider, but as well as that, it's been changed to be 14% stiffer at the front and 34% stiffer at the rear. More changes to do with the wheels. The ultra lightweight wheels are 17 kilos lighter than the standard wheels, and it also has the braking system found in the 675LT, so those are 4 kilos lighter as well, and even the titanium wheel bolts are 420 grams lighter all around the car, every little bit to help get that 100 kilos pulled out of it. Now underneath the car, we can't see so well, there is a carbon fibre under tray that even has openings and vents to pull airflow through the car to help with cooling, so towards the front brakes, for example, given the additional stopping power that the car has to ensure that they're kept to temperature. Around to the back, as well as all of the carbon fibre bodywork that saves 7.2 kilos, something I particularly like is the rear window. So the outer layer of the window is brought down from 2.1 millimeters thick to 1.6, which saves 2.1 kilos. Now if we come through and have a look at the inside of the car, if you want the lightest possible configuration, you need to opt for it without a sound system and without the air conditioning. So by removing the air conditioning and the compressor and that side of things, you will save 12.6 kilos. The standard bucket seat that we don't have right here, but the seat as per the 675, is 21 kilos lighter than the seats found in the 570S, and this seat from the Senna is 3.6 kilos lighter further still. Now like I mentioned, down at the floor we've got straight through to the carbon tub here, no carpets, which would add 5.6 kilos of extra weight, and that additional kilo also that's found by taking out the glove box and inserting the door pockets, the nets instead of those door boxes that you would normally find that actually cleverly locked themselves when you open the doors so that you wouldn't end up having them open and stuff falling out. Very, very tricky little thing, but you can, of course, opt to reinsert the Bowers and Wilkins sound system if you'd like to have some good audio inside your 600LT. Otherwise, we've got Alcantara everywhere, lightweight sporty material, as opposed to the more, I guess, traditional leather. We've got a 12 o'clock stripe on the steering wheel, but the same shaped steering wheel, no commands, just the extended paddle shifters available on the back of it, because this is about driving, it's about holding the wheel and focusing your attention in the right place. This display gives us a great rundown of the numbers actually that you can see for all of the different weight saving, where it all comes from, the lightweight wiring harness to save 3.3 kilos, the anti-roll bars that we have there, taking out the audio or sat-nav would save you 3.3, and then here you have that carbon rear diffuser where you can see just how open it is underneath to let all the airflow come out as open as possible with these fine mesh areas, all about airflow. And this, well, doesn't weigh very much, let's just say. In fact, weighs surprisingly little, and here we even have the titanium bolts which we can put on the scales to weigh and you see the difference. But that is how McLaren saved 100 kilos from the weight of the Sports Series. I'm going to continue exploring the interior of the 600LT and take a step in here just to show you a few more things and what you have around you as the driver or passenger inside this car. So let's just turn on the ignition for a second. I can close the window. Nice and easy. So you can see the dashboard display that we have in front of us in the normal mode at the moment with your odo and trip information at the left, some warning lights over there. You can see your tyre pressure info as well to the left of the rev counter with the speedo in the centre of it. You've got your different driving modes as you have the active dynamics panel selected just there, as well as some temperature and your fuel gauge over towards the right. It's a lovely display. They launched the digital displays in the P1, carried it through to the 540C and the 570S, and of course it's remained since. In the centre you have your floating display where you can have the McLaren McLaren track telemetry. You can obviously control all of your usual audio navigation functions via the display touchscreen. Here you have your air conditioning controls. They don't have a separate panel for air conditioning. It's done through here, so whatever screen you're on, you can hotkey that, press that, and it will bring it up. So you can see how this is set, and you go through your different bits and pieces. Then in the center, you can press that button if you ever want to return back towards home. Now down here is where we have that active dynamics panel. So on the left hand side you have handling, on the right hand side you have powertrain, and both of those go from normal, sport and track. In the center you have the traction control button, so a single press would put it into dynamic mode. Pressing and holding would turn it off. On the right hand side you have the button to go manual for the shifter paddles. Then beneath that you've got launch control of course, and turn off stop-start, automatic stop-start of the engine. So to actually enable this panel, you have to press the active button. And here you can see the display change to go into the track mode. So if we toggle this back, you can see how it changes there between different display screens and all the way up to the horizontal rev counter up towards the top, obviously right in your eye line. When that's enabled, one press of here will give you the warning there, but also put ESC into dynamic mode, which just lets you have a little bit more fun out on the racetrack. Then beneath that you've got the button to open and close the bonnet, drive neutral reverse, your hazard lights, and locking the doors. So this is all carbon fibre, surrounded by the chromed trim. There's a 600LT badge down here at the back, behind the cup holders that you have there. Quite a decent amount of storage, all with rubber pads at the bottom. So this is a car, I believe, that would still be quite usable out on the road. Although it's the track version, it's also quite, decent from that side of things. And we'll have a look at the bonnet as well. You've got the armrest storage here with your track telemetry USB port where you plug in the USB to record via the cameras. You've also got the USB ports for your iPod or whatever it may be. On the back you can see there's a small cargo net for some things back there. The track cameras I was talking about, you have one up here. There's also one on the front and one on the rear. We can see those as we jump out. But as before, you've got the bullet-like Bowers & Wilkins speaker up on the top. It's a very unique interior. I would think it's the best way. It's very different from the Super Series interiors. Futuristic, modern, stylish. Speaker up here on the A-pillar. You've got a good visibility, including back here into the side pods. Just generally looking around up top, for example, your lights. There's a good cargo shelf right behind us to put some additional luggage and bits and pieces as well. And remember, this is a cabin you can be in driving up to 328 kilometers per hour. Top speed 204 miles per hour. One press to turn it off, and we get the picture of the 600LT right there. And the electronic release for the doors here. There's also a manual release tucked in back behind the seats should the electronics not work. You've got this carbon fibre sill, that's a visual piece option. But one of the things about the Sports Series when it was launched was having this new monocell too that sits just a little bit lower. That sounded good, making it easier to swing your legs in and out than they were before. So let's pop open the front bonnet so we can come and have a look at that. So you see the storage space that is available in this car. You could opt to have the carbon fibre roof. This car has the dark palladium finish. If we come around here, just lift this out, there's no catch. One of the rare things to have a front bonnet with no catch. That opens up in here. As you can see, there's a decent amount of storage space if you want to go off on a road trip or adventure. It all works pretty nicely. So overall, I think one of my favourite design features has to be this, the louvres. I think those look really, really nice. Obviously, a lot of people will be big fans of this noise that comes from right behind your head. I'd love to drive it without a helmet on just to experience more of what that sound is actually like. But this whole rear deck was reworked to make it more open, to have more finer mesh so that you can just see a little bit more. And then of course that's why it has the protection here on the fixed rear wing. It's not an active wing, it doesn't do air brake or anything like that. You've got the third brake light installed in there, but even here you've now got meshing inside that shape of the rear light. I think the thing looks angry and aggressive the way it's open behind the tyres here. Of course legislation means the bodywork has to be out as wide as the tyres, but this is open to help get rid of the air that would cluster up, I suppose, inside there as you're driving at speed. Around to the side again, it's all about keeping clean air around the sides of the car. And by the way, if you didn't know, the button to open the door is right on the underside here, so you press that and it opens upwards and outwards. But this whole shape is designed again for airflow through the car to keep clean air and dirty air separate as it travels around. Another thing, if you weren't familiar, the headlight, by the way, if you look at the shape of it with the curve, just like the McLaren Speedmark, that same shape is used in lots of places around the design. that you'll find on the car. A final bit of feedback then, it is a McLaren. It does everything that McLarens do so well, the steering being absolutely one of them. There's only one steering map between the 3 different modes, but obviously the suspension adjusts, it becomes more firm, which gives you a more direct feel. But 600LT, which I think is about to blast off away from us. And bang on cue, off it goes, and the other one comes in, so I need to just move out of the way very quickly. I think they're doing some hot laps now. Has been a fantastic drive today. Really and truly enjoyed it. It's a special car. It's quite an expensive car for the entry track focused version, but I think can't really complain, can you? It's a fantastic thing, and I'd love to see how it actually stacked up against the 675. I think it would be pretty neck on neck. Slightly less power, but slightly more modern technology as well. Anyway, let's leave it for there. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Thank you to McLaren for the opportunity to come out here to drive the Hungaroring and experience the 600LT. And that is it for this time. I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Cheers.